Okay, so we're looking at fractions, and we're going to be doing algebraic fractions, but we won't do that in this lesson. We're going to be just looking at normal numbers. Okay, so normal numbers. So don't panic, even though the heading is addition of algebraic fractions. Today is just, this video is just about normal numbers. So just a reminder that the top number of a fraction is called the numerator, and the bottom number is called the denominator, and you need to use those words mathematically. Okay, they're not scary, they're just the words. Okay, so write that down if you need to. When you're ready, come to the next slide. Okay, so let's have a look at a really simple one. If I've got a third of something, a third of a cake, and I have another third, I'm adding those two thirds together. Most kids will understand that you get 2/3. Okay, so just, you know, if you've got a third of a cake and you have another third of a cake, then you have 2/3 of a cake. Okay, so that makes pretty simple. Okay, so what I say is, if the denominators are the same, if they're the same, we can add the numerators. So 1 plus 1 equals 2. Okay, we don't add the denominators. 3 plus 3 equals 6. As I said, 1/3 of a pie or 1/3 of a pizza plus 1/3 of a pizza is 2/3 of a pizza. Okay, so you know, another example here, 2/3 plus 5/3, the denominator is the same, so 2 plus 5 equals 7. 2/5 plus 1/5 equals 3/5. So if you think you need to copy those down, do so, but otherwise just come to the next slide when you're ready. Okay, so now we're looking at denominators that are different. So if I've got a half and I'm trying to add a quarter, you can add them, but we have to have the same denominator. So most of the time, most of you will be okay that, you know, if you've got half of a pie, if you've got half of pizza, that's the same as 2/4 of a pizza. So half is the same as 2/4. We just have to double the top and we double the bottom to get the 4. So you have 2/4 plus 1/4 equals 3/4. So I've made the first one pretty straightforward because I'm sure you've had half of a pizza before, and you know that half a pizza is the same as 2/4. Okay, so if you need to copy that down, do so, but come to the next slide when you're ready. Okay, so just in case you want to have a method. Okay, so I'm going to give you a method that works for all addition of fractions. Obviously, sometimes you can see the answer straight away, but just for those kids who like to have a method, so here's what I've done. So if I've got back to the question we had before, if I've got a quarter, a half plus a quarter. So 2 is just 2, and 4 is 2 times 2. So in this method that I want you to do only if you're not sure what the lowest common denominator is, you circle the number that is in both, and that number comes down. So you circle the common factor, and then the other factors are any other numbers that aren't circled. So there's a number that I didn't circle, so that means that 4 is the lowest common denominator. Okay, and then this number needs another 2, so you double it, so 1 times 2, and this number has got both the numbers, and so we get the 3/4. So what we'll do now is we'll look at another example with different numbers, but copy that down and come to the next slide. Okay, so here we've got a method. Now some of you will know what the lowest common denominator is, the lowest common multiple of 6 and 8, but in my method, if you can just have a look. So 6 is 3 times 2, and 8 is 4 by 2. Okay, so the lowest common denominator, start off with, circle any number that appears in both numbers, and then that number goes down. Okay, there's no other number that's common, and so the other factors are 3 and 4. And when you multiply those numbers together, 2 3s are 6, 6 4s are 24. So that means that for the numbers 6 and 8, they both go into 24, and 24 is the lowest number. Now there is another way of doing it. If you just write out the multiples of 6 and write out the multiples of 8, and the first time you get the same number, then that's another way of doing it. Okay, so you can write out multiples, or you can use this factor method. So in my method, Okay, so this number has a 3 and a 2, so it needs to be multiplied by 4. So the first number turns into a 4. Bring the plus sign down because it's a plus. And then the second number has the 4 and the 2, so it needs the 3. So that means I have to multiply that number by 3 because that's the number that was missing. So 3 times 3 is 9. So the answer would be 13/24. Now you can check that on your calculator. Now you should have a button that's not A, B, C. There should be a button, something, I don't know, something like that on your calculator somewhere, and you can add those fractions. Okay, so copy that down. You got this method, which is multiples, or you got this method of putting the factors in and then circling. Okay. Come across the next slide when you're ready. So I want you to try this one for yourself. I don't care which method you use. I want you to find the lowest common denominator and then add those fractions. So I want you to pause the tape, and then when you're ready, come back live. Okay, so you might have had a go, you might not have. 4 is 2 by 2, 6 is 3 by 2. So circle a 2, and then you write down the other numbers, times 2 times 3. So the lowest common denominator, 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 3. So the lowest, and we just had someone on the PA, so hopefully you didn't pick up too much on that. So if you didn't like that way of getting the 12, then obviously 4, 8, 12, 16 are the multiples, and then 6, 12, 18 are the multiples, and there's your 12 as the lowest common denominator. Okay, so in my method, there's 2 2's, there's 2 2's, so we need 3. So we're going to go, so put that number back, that's a 3, that's a 5, because we haven't changed anything. So this number needs the 3, so we're going to multiply that by 3. So that turns into a 9, and then this number's got the 3 and the 2, so it needs the other 2. So that'll be 10. So the answer will be 19/12. Okay, copy that down and come across the next slide. Okay, so I want you to try these yourself. You can check your answer on your calculator so you know you're right, but I'll show the steps in a minute. So pause the tape, have a go, and then come back live. Okay, so in this one here, the lowest common denominator is just simply 12. There were no other numbers. Okay, so this one will be multiplied by 4, so that gives us an 8. And then this number is going to be multiplied by 3 to get the 12, so 4 3 is a 12. So that's just 11 on 12. This one here, the lowest common multiple will be 15. So this has to be multiplied by 3. This has to be multiplied by 5. So we get 12 plus 10, 22 over 15. And the last one, this one needs to come up to a 10. And so we're going to multiply that by 5. That'll be 5. So that answer will be 8/10. Okay, so that's the last slide. So that's the skills on adding fractions, and in the next class, in the next video, we will do it with algebra. Okay, thanks.